So we all know that greyhound racing has had a really tough time in reaching a younger generation of players. And there are multiple reasons for that, but one of the biggest we feel is the way the product itself is packaged and presented, and that's the racing program. Most young people today don't want to spend a lot of time learning how to buy a product. And when they see a racing program, they see a lot of information that they don't understand, and they're more inclined to move on to the next thing instead of spending 15, 20, 30 minutes of their time just trying to figure out how to play one single race. They have three specific problems right away when they open up a racing program. One, how do I pick who I want to bet on from all of this information that I don't understand? A lot of people never get past that first step. Some do, and then they've immediately got a second problem. Now, I've picked my racer. How do I place a bet? I don't understand the bet types. I don't understand what's going to maybe give me the best payoffs. I don't know what's going to meet my budget. And third, why does this take so long? In today's social media dominated I want it now society, younger people especially want things fast, fast, fast. So how do we address this problem? So let's try taking the information that's contained in a racing program and putting it into an interactive format that's a little easier for a new player to understand. And we'll start off by using a video hostess to walk the player step by step through how to handicap a race. We'll turn the video host function off here and just go through the questionnaire process. Our player here is going to be playing at Tri-State, and we're picking race 13. Now the software is going to ask the player a few very simple questions about how much experience they have playing the races, what type of payoffs they want, and how much their budget is for betting a race. And then we take the information that's contained in a racing program and let the player interact with it however they wish. They can choose statistics like times and grades. They can use lucky factors like matching their zodiac sign or picking their favorite name, or they can actually allow one of the hosts to select a race for them. Once the player answers a few of these basic questions, the software is then going to analyze the factors they've chosen, pull the data out of the racing program, and put it into a graphics-based format and create a suggested wager for the player based on how they answered those questions. So the player here is a beginner and they're looking for moderate payoffs. So the software is going to recommend to them some very simple wager types: a win and place bet and a quinella, based on the four factors that player chose to use in handicapping the race. Now we take all the statistical information and put it into simple graphs and charts that makes the information easier for a beginner to understand by giving them a visual representation instead of just text and numbers. And then if the player wishes to actually see the standard racing program page, they can access this from the final screen, look at all the statistics that led to their bet recommendation and the graphs that they see. They can zoom in and out on statistics, and we can kind of use it then as an educational tool to help them start to learn what all of those numbers actually mean. The software is very much geared for beginners, but it's also applicable to players of any skill level. Advanced level players can use it to take a quick look at statistics that they might normally handicap with to get a visual representation and then see, okay, here are a couple of dogs that I would like to look at a little bit closer in my actual racing form. Again, all the statistical information is put into a graphics-based format. We'll go back and take a look at what an experienced player would see if they go through the questionnaire. We're going to pick the same race, and this player is going to say, I'm an advanced level player. And they actually can pick from different wager types. The beginner isn't going to know as much about what a quinella is versus a 10-cent superfecta versus a trifecta. But for the more experienced players, we actually allow them to pick their wager type that they get in their final bet recommendation. This player was looking for a quinella wager and wanted to wager in the $12 range, so they get a $4 quinella box. And then again, advanced level players use it as a quick way to overview of the race and see what they may want to drill down into the racing form to learn a little bit more about. Once someone has seen the iPad application in the racetrack, one of the first questions we usually get is, can I use this on my device, on my smartphone or my tablet? And the answer is yes. And we accomplish that through the use of our mobile web application, which functions very much like the iPad application. Players access it by going to their smartphone's internet browser and going to PickInsider.com. Again, the application functions very similar to the iPad application. It does allow you to save your preferences to the player profile questions like experience and budget and payoffs, just to save time as the player goes from one race to the next. But overall, the functionality is very much the same. Once the player arrives at a bet recommendation, the screen is going to be split up into two tabs, one for the wager recommendation itself, and then a second for the graphical presentation of the statistics that they chose to use. And the mobile web application, the chart format that we use is actually a stacked bar graph, which will show you the relative strengths and weaknesses of each of the runners in the race based on whatever handicapping factors you chose. This player here is using early speed, win percentages, and best times to analyze the race, and you can see the 3 was the strongest statistically of the group, with the 1 as the second strongest. Obviously, the goal of our software is to reach and educate beginners about the live racing product. So how do we do this? We do this through live racing promotional events on weekends that feature our software, and through our relationship with Smart Models Talent Agency, professional smokes models who interact with racetrack patrons and introduce them to the PickInsider software application and generate interest in watching and betting on live races. So thank you for taking the time to take a quick look at our software application and the approach that we are taking to reach a new generation of players for the live racing product. Please let us know if you would like more information on setting up a promotional event for your racetrack or casino.